Welcome to episode 190 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host tonight, Tom and Andy, bringing you a fun and exciting show as always, and we'll go around the room who we have, and it's the normal co-host that we always have, Jason Santa.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, how are you? And we got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's going on?
What is up? We're going to be recapping that Eagles game. The long national nightmare is over. We don't need to watch any more Eagles games, which was starting to be tough to watch. We'll look ahead, couple maybe talk a little bit about the possible offseason, and then we'll touch on the divisional round and maybe bring you a little Phillies segment to finish. We haven't talked to any Phillies recently, so we'll see. So let's jump right into the show. As always, it's brought to you by Divisional's Pizza. You tried the rest. Now go ahead and try the best. And fortunately for Giovanina, the promotion is already over. One cut only has to give, if you have the app, you can go claim your one pie because Jalen Hurts did throw one touchdown. This playoff series, you can get your one pie with the app at Giovanina's restaurant, store, pizza place. But that's it. Nothing, no other promotions going on. So sorry, folks. You got Jalen Hurts gave you one pie. All right. And speaking of that, let's go through the recap. So the Eagles did lose the game 23-19. I'm sure everybody listening saw how it unfolded. Eagles were leading at halftime. For the ninth game this year, they scored less than 7 points in the second half. And the defense led up to two scoring drives. And then Hurts, who was had the ball in his hand to try to win it, just like Allen did, just like what were the other games
Purdy.
this week? Just like Purdy did, just like Caleb Williams did, just like Stafford did.
Yeah.
And he was the one quarterback who did not win the game, and defense prevailed. Jason, you want to recap some Eagles for us?
Yeah, so the first drive started, the first play, they kind of stuffed the run, and, the stadium kind of went crazy. But then the second play, the crossing route to Robinson, it was really nice route and throw, and kind of put them back on their heels. And then eventually they got in the end zone. So it was 7-0. Eagles came back, missed the extra point. As we said, at some point, Elliott in the playoffs is probably going to be a problem, and he was. 49ers missed an extra point also, so kind of equaled that out, but he was a problem. But, like you said, Tom, the Eagles took the lead at halftime. But 49ers, so Purdy, I thought he played well in the first half. Second half, he had two bad interceptions.
Bad. They were terrible interceptions.
Yeah, the first one.
I think his arm might have got hit, or there was something weird.
No, the first one, he didn't see the guy that was open, and he tried to force the ball that was not the right throw. And then the second one, I just think, I think his receivers were not getting any separation at all, and I think he just tried to do too much, and it was, he tried to throw it to somebody that really wasn't open, and Mitchell picked him off there too. But McCaffrey made just an unbelievable catch on the reverse, or whatever you want to call that play, flea flicker, reverse, whatever it was, with the Jennings threw the touchdown to him. It was an unbelievable catch. Robinson, they really did not have a number one receiver in the game, but Demarcus Robinson, basically became that in the game, and he had over 100 yards. Shanahan just coached another great game. Just phenomenal game. He coached, and you got to give Salah credit. I mean, that team defensively, they were down to like their fourth and fifth linebacker. They have no pass rush whatsoever, zero pass rush. And Salah kind of coached them up, and to kind of play a good defensive game. And then, like I said, without Pearsall, Purdy didn't have much to go to in that game. And then Kittle got hurt, and so Purdy made the plays he needed to make to kind of win the game on that last drive. But it all falls back to when you want to talk about the Eagles and their offense. To me, it all falls on Jalen Hurts again. Like, Again, they have 5 passing concepts. 5. You know what a normal NFL team has at least double that passing concepts in their schemes. He has 5, and he still leaves pockets early. He still does not let the ball go when he needs to let go. When he leaves the pocket early, he takes away the whole side of the field. Like, he's still doing that only with 5 passing concepts. So, and then I hear stuff about well, it worked when they had Steichen and Moore, but now that they have, or they had Patullo, they fired him. How come it doesn't work with them? But they don't understand, that basically this guy, first of all, with Steichen, I looked this up, the design runs I looked up. And maybe we go into this after. Maybe you guys talk about the game first.
Yeah, I would just go through
And then let's
recap
come
and-
back and talk about the problem. So go ahead. You guys can go.
Yeah, because I got a bunch of notes.
I
as
got
well
a
for
bunch.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this was a game that during the season, it was exactly like every other game except for when they played the Raiders and the Giants, maybe. But it was the exact same game where they had flashes maybe in the first half and then fell apart in the second half. And the difference was the defense in this game played well. They had 2 turnovers. They only held them to 23 points. Gave the offense the ball at the 50-yard line or better 3 times that I think the Eagles only got 3 points out of. So, the defense did their job. They didn't completely shut them down, but they did their job, and the offense didn't come through. The difference in the Green Bay game, the difference in the Detroit game is the defense held those teams to 9 points and 12 points. That's not sustainable, and everybody knows that,
No.
a good defense in the NFL isn't holding a team to 9 points. That's unheard of, to be honest. A good defense is forcing field goals, getting turnovers, the things that this Eagles defense did. But it wasn't enough to win, just like it really wasn't enough probably to win during the season. But there was games that defense completely just shut down the other team's offense. So, I mean, if it wasn't going to be this week against a team that was beat up and the Eagles skated by, it was going to be last week. It would be this week. And if they somehow miraculously, it would they're not sustainable. AJ Brown was a joke. He's had no effort. The first play of the game, everybody wants to talk about Patullo. He runs a motion where he brings AJ Brown into the box, and that's the guy that follows AJ Brown's the one that tackled Barkley. Well, guess what? AJ Brown's supposed to block that guy, and he made no attempt to block the guy. That's why it didn't work. All that stuff led to, I think, the team being disjointed when it came offensively. Sirianni's fighting with AJ Brown on the side. I mean, it was a clown show. A complete clown show is what it ended up being. And they finally lost. And it was in the playoffs, so they don't have next week to try to make it up. And then you don't have all the excuses. The defense didn't let up 9 points, so they didn't come. I mean, I know I thought they were going to win, and the line, there was things like that dictated. But honestly, it was exactly how the season went all year, and I'm not surprised. And you can go back to 23, where they were terrible the last 4, 5, 6 games, and they go in the playoffs, and they played exactly how they looked their last 4, 5, 6 games and got knocked out. And same thing this year. The exact same thing. Chalky?
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered most of the basic stuff. I mean, they had more talent on the field, especially after, you get somebody like Kittle going down. Purdy, didn't have a outstanding game. 18-31, not great numbers, 2 picks, but he threw 2 touchdowns, and he put together a couple of big plays on drives when it mattered most. I mean, if you just look at some of the raw stats, the Eagles did some things that you thought would have had them, win the game. In terms of Barkley hit 100 yards rushing, they had 140 as a team. Time of possession was 35 minutes to 24 minutes, all that stuff. But 2 big numbers. One that Sirianni mentioned it before the game. If anybody saw Hard Knocks, he said we had to have more explosive plays, and they did not. San Francisco had more explosive plays, and whenever San Francisco got an explosive play on the drive, they turned it into points, one way or the other. And then the Eagles lost the penalty battle 7-1. It was only 48 yards, but there was a couple of first downs negated that set him back, and that just stopped him cold. And honestly, the one San Francisco penalty was debatable. So San Francisco could have got out of the game with a clean sheet. So when you shoot yourself in the foot and negate first downs, they're not they're not a team where if it's first and 20 or second 20, you're like, okay, they can still get this. You're like, it's kind of like there'll be moments of flashes. So like, if you want to talk about the last drive, like AJ Brown catches that ball. He might not get a touchdown, but he's running for another 10, 15 yards at least before he goes down.
No. If J.J. Brown catches the ball, he's tackled immediately because the pass was bad. He was off
it, but it was a bad pass.
Well,
no, but he's not getting up and running. The play's over.
Yeah.
If the pass is thrown to him in stride, he can maybe pick up more yards and potentially a touchdown. So because they made up for that play. Devontae Smith caught a pass.
No, they got the next right.
What I'm saying is the play that he dropped would have still just got him the first down. He should have caught it, but it wasn't going to be more because the pass was bad too.
All right.
Like that has to be pointed out.
Well, he would have kept running. The guy wasn't that close to him, but anyway.
He was going to the ground. How was he going to keep running?
I think he went to the ground after he dropped it. I'm watching the play right now. It was in his hands.
Different things, I think, Chalky. Like with the way the ball was thrown, he wasn't going anywhere. But
he wasn't going there more.
If he would have hit him in stride,
he was going. Correct.
He would.
Anyway, but those are but he dropped the one-on-one coverage that I think they had a punt in that drive or whatever. So like they can't afford say whatever you want about Hurts, when he makes or gives them a chance and they don't convert, they don't come back with another chance because it's hit or miss when they get these plays this year. It's that inconsistency. So, when they get those chances, and some of the games we talked about, there was like one big play that they missed that could have won them like 3 or 4 games. Well, that's the difference between a championship level team and a team that's decent enough that can get by on talent. But when you have those momentary lapses or whatever it was that these plays aren't made or these balls are dropped, and you said at the beginning, Tom, how many of these, these at least 3 or 4 losses, maybe even 5 if you include the playoffs now, where Hurts had the ball in the fourth quarter trailing or with a tie game with the chance to put them ahead, and they didn't win those games this year. The only game they did that was the Rams game. He left the field, he put them ahead and left the field, and, they got the blocked field goal there. But the other, if they had a lead late, they found ways to extend the drive to run the clock out, but he wasn't coming from behind. And last couple of years, he's had at least a few of those games, or at least in 22 and 24 when they went to the Super Bowl, he had a couple of those games, and they did not. Even 23, they had a couple of those games. This year, they did not. And you look at the Broncos game, the second Dallas game, this game, Chargers game. That's 4 right there off the top of my head that they had the ball with a chance for Hurts to drive them down and potentially win the game, and they didn't win any of them. So he's the quarterback, he's the leader of the offense. So whether, it's all on him or not, he takes the brunt of it. And certainly there's a level of it that falls on him.
He didn't really take the brunt of it because one guy's out of a job and one.
Yeah, but that's the way. But we knew that what's what it was going to happen.
But I'm just saying, he didn't take. He might take the brunt on this podcast, but not in the city of Philadelphia. And one thing to put, Chalky mentioned the penalties, and not by no means did the game get dictated, but and you can go across the league. Dude, they called the Eagles for 2 holding penalties that the Niners held half of the plays they were holding. It's not that they don't call them. It's that they just decide when they're going to dictate to control the game. Like the Eagles had 2 big plays that they called holding penalties on. The Niners touchdown McCaffrey, Trent Williams clearly held Nolan Smith, and they don't call. It's like, it's just frustrating to watch these games with these officials that completely have a hand in outcomes or like particular plays. And then, the Eagles had chances to overcome that. Don't get me wrong. But it's just frustrating. I watched it all weekend with every game. It's
been years though. It's like,
but it's not like it's either call it or don't call it. Don't not call it all game and then just randomly call holding when you feel like calling a holding. It's it's ridiculous. It's frustrating as a fan of the game. It's frustrating as a fan of a team to like, they're crucial plays in a game that like they're first down plays that picked up 15, 20 yards, and you're deeper in the team's territory that now are not like are negated, and it's like,
Yeah. And they caught a break when I don't know if New York called in or they talked about it when the second Goddard touchdown, they were going to call it back, and then they realized it was actually a legal block. And
yeah, which was
kept
the
it on
right
board.
call, but
Which is
I
the right
don't know
call,
where,
but
yeah, it's just crazy. All right, so let's all right, Jason, you wanted to get a little bit more into before we get into something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe hurts a little bit or the offense in
it's the
general.
offense in general. Like the thing that drives me insane is when I hear how much different, it was this year with Petullo versus, they had so much success with Steichen and Moore and this and that. The passing game is the exact same passing game it's been for the last 4 years. They've had the exact same passing concepts in the offense for the last 4 years. There are three differences, I would say. Number one, you had a historically good offensive line. When you had two Hall of Famers back in 2022, right, if we're going to go back that far, you had two legitimate first ballot Hall of Famers on your line, and you had two All-Pros on your line. So you have four guys who are unbelievable offensive linemen, right, back then. You had Hurts, right, and I'm going to get into Hurts a little bit here because I wanted to look at the design runs. So I did some research on that. In 2022, I think it was Pro Football Weekly, because I asked like AI to kind of give me not the rushes, obviously, because you could go on anywhere and find out the rushes, but some of those rushes are, the quarterback sneak nonsense or him scrambling or stuff like that. I wanted design runs. They estimated that in 2022, he had about 130 design runs during the season. They estimated in 23 that dropped down to 100. In 24, probably around 80. And this year, probably around 50. Okay? So now you see that back then in 2022, when they had Steichen and everything was working, you had a Hall of Fame offensive line, and you had Hurts, who, as bad as he is as a passer, one of the worst in the league, he's a very good rushing quarterback, or he was. Okay? Now,
I can remember being on this podcast, and you could pull tape in 22 because I wasn't not a Hurts fan.
I know what you're going to say.
And I remember saying, the way they run this up, they're running him like they don't care if he gets hurt.
Correct.
They're just going for it this year.
Yeah.
And is it sustainable? No. But like I remember specifically saying they're running him and they can care less if he gets hurt.
Yeah.
They're just running and it's working. And that's why they're effective.
Yeah. Now, 2023, it really didn't work, right? It didn't work that well. So last year,
the league also identified that their offense.
And they shut all that stuff down. Last year, they got Saquon Barkley, who had a historic year rushing for over 2,000 yards, emptying his tank, because obviously he was not the same player this year as he's been, which we mentioned was probably going to happen. Emptied his tank last year, right? But again, the passing, there's nothing different that they did this year other than Hurts not running as much, which I don't think it's an offensive scheme thing. I think it's Hurts not wanting to run anymore. And, oh, by the way, he's slow now. You see him rushing at all? He's slow. The one run he had, I couldn't believe he slid. Like, he's a big guy. Like, you see,
it's not even. I mean,
Purdy's
you're
diving
just
head
going
first for first downs. This guy's sliding 4 yards.
You're just going off of design runs. Like, what happened to Hurts dropping back? I mean, I watched Herbert didn't score a touchdown, so maybe not a great example. I watched Derek May or Drake May, whatever the hell his name is. I watched Allen, obviously, that did it successfully. These guys, and maybe it goes into being able to read defense. They drop back, and Hurts did do this. And on the last drive, he had the opportunity, and he was sitting. Drop back, identify a particular play, isn't there, see a lane, and be decisive, and run the ball on a – it's not even a broken play at that point. It is because it's not designed. And on the last drive, he tried to do that, but he was late to do it.
And he got caught.
And he got caught and lost it. I watched May pick up had a 45-yard run. They drop it back. I guess his first or second read wasn't there, and immediately took off, and it worked. Like, he doesn't do that at all. At all, does he?
And you
do that?
name me a quarterback in this league who has better weapons than he has on his a skill player weapons on his offense. And the last thing I'm going to end with is on the winning touchdown that Purdy threw. He went through 5 progressions. His 5th progression was McCaffrey. You watch the tape. He went from here to here to here to here, and then he stepped up in the pocket, which hurts.
Stepped
up in a pocket.
The difference is he had 5 guys in the route. He didn't immediately leave the pocket to take out 3 of those guys and only have a 2. Like, that's the difference. He immediately
I bet
takes
you
out
he go through total 5 progressions in the whole game last week.
But where you're wrong, under Steichen and under Moore, they obviously ran more motion that they don't. Oh, but if you look at the numbers, they ran the most motion they ever ran with Hurts this year.
One passing
This
contract
year.
the last
So
4
all
years.
that nonsense is just nonsense.
It's all nonsense. And Patullo, like Chalky said, he was going to get fired. It just was going to happen. But guess what? They could bring in Bill Walsh. They could dig him up and bring in Bill Walsh to run the offense next year. And if the offensive line is not going to be better and they're not going to be able to run the ball and this guy's the quarterback, good luck.
I got nothing to say.
Good luck.
I don't know, Chalky, you could, if you had anything to add there.
I mean, it sounds like they're going to be bringing an established coordinator in, somebody that's got this experience. So whether that's, the 2 names so far were McDaniel and Dable. I don't know if that really McDaniel's interesting, I think. But
I mean, the problem with McDaniel, and I'm fine with his philosophies are like the way are the direct opposite of what Hurt. He's
Correct.
He got to it to throw it anticipation.
I would
throw
think
over
Dable is better for Hurts because Dable had Allen, who's similar.
Correct.
Dable also had Hurt at Alabama when I think they made the switch to Tua. So I don't know if there's any bad blood
They also
there
made
or
it
whatever.
to the
over that.
national championship
Dable
game,
did.
Is that the only year they were together down there when they made it? Yeah. I mean, look, both guys made, Tua was made into a serviceable quarterback with limitations for, a certain period of time with McDaniel. You're going to get a guy that if Hurts has a great year, he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else. If Hurts doesn't have a great year, the Eagles will probably be looking for another quarterback. And
well, here's the difference.
maybe new coaching staff overall. I mean, who knows if another, just what Patullo, I think was, you can say whatever you want to say about him, whether he knows his stuff and has the wrong, whatever. I think with McClain, who's pretty tied in, said that there was talk if the Eagles did win the Super Bowl, he might have lost his job as the quarterback's coach. So if you don't know that this guy's going to keep his job there and then you elevate him to offensive coordinator because you lose Kellen Moore, you're setting the guy up to fail because you're putting somebody in that maybe shouldn't be there in the first place. And he's got limitations on what he can call because of the personnel he has.
I'm telling you, I think his issues were Monday through Saturday. I don't think he was a good administrator. I don't think he was able to give, offenses. I think Cassell said offenses. The offense coordinator don't come up with the game plan. It's
their whole team that comes up.
It's a team, and I don't think he was a good manager. I don't think he managed his team well. I don't think he communicated. AJ Brown mentioned about communication, that kind of stuff. I think he struggled with. But then again, Howie Roseman somehow is the god of all gods. He's blamed too. Yeah. In 2017, you win, or was it 22? I can't think. Oh yeah, they let Doug hire, was it Grow or whatever his name was, and he got fired. Then they let Brian Johnson come in, he gets fired. Now you win again, and it's the 3rd time you let the quarterback, the coach or whatever. That's also on the organization. That's not just the 2 guys. Howie needs to be culpable too.
I agree. I think it's just hard to tell the coach that just from the Super Bowl you can't choose the.
Oh, you can't. I personally would have traded Saquon Barkley and got rid of Hurts after winning Super Bowl. So I'm not the best example because
honestly, I don't think, and this is again a deeper discussion. Is it like if Sirianni was going to say, well, no, I'm going to quit if you do that, is that like last year? I mean, no, we have another year afterwards, but is that the end of the world? Like if they fired him and said, we want John Harbaugh because we know Jeffrey Lurie loves John Harbaugh, right? If the moment he came available, if they fired Sirianni, who else is offering Sirianni a job or probably even giving an interview? Nobody.
Oh, I mean, I think Sirianni's a clown.
So it's like if you'd be probably get rid of him in a heartbeat in some cases, but now you're gonna let me. Like, you got to take a stance one way or the other. Like I agree with what you're saying, but
optics that goes into it, meaning like it's hard for organizations to win a Super Bowl and then get rid of it. Like how it's
no, you'd have to be Dallas. I mean, Dallas is the only one that did that, but like I mean, why even make it a conversation? Like I don't even think they tried to force anything that year. And they said, it's like, okay, we'll let you pick. Oh, you screwed up. Well, now we're going to do it in a different way, and it works. I don't know.
They also played into the Super Bowl, and there wasn't the options to hire a coordinator. It
was much more limited pool by that point, for sure.
Look, here's what you got to do. You bring in a McDaniel. You bring in maybe one of these young Webb, like somebody. They're probably not like these guys, and you let them run their style. And Hurts either is able to do it or not to do it. Like McVay got the most he could out of Goff. But eventually he decided Goff stinks. I'm getting rid of Goff. I need somebody better. And he got Stafford. Even McDaniel got the best out of Tua. And Tua got benched at some point. Like there was points where Tua, like he realized, but he had the replacements were just weird. Like there's a point where the quarterback, like even the Shanahan's got the most out of Garoppolo. And he said, I can't win with this guy consistently. You could win 1 year. You're not going to consistently win. Like that's where the Eagles are. You're going to have like Hurts. You did what you could with Hurts. You somehow went to 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl. I don't know how you did that. You did it though.
I mean, playoffs 5 years in a row. Don't forget, Sirianni was hired to get the most out of Carson Wentz, not Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz was still going to be the starting quarterback when they hired Sirianni, and then he forced his way out. So this wasn't even his quarterback, quote unquote, to begin with. I don't need to defend Sirianni, but it wasn't even like Sirianni's guy. Like he fell into it.
Here's the thing. That offensive line, like they're still going to be underrated. They were so good that they won 2 Super Bowls with bad quarterbacks, right? Wentz to Foles, right? They're not legitimate quarterbacks. Now you got Hurts. They were so good. That offensive line was so good that it carried this team to 2 Super Bowls. And guess what? It's not anymore.
And the difference was they didn't just Johnson didn't barely play, but like they drastically dropped off. Like Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens was one of the worst centers in the league this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
You basically, and Mailata's play even dropped. Like basically, you have Dickerson right now.
Yeah.
And he's banged up. He's all coming off of back surgery, right?
He was still, but he was still right.
Or Jurgens was.
Like he's still a guy that you could count on.
Yeah,
but I don't need these other guys.
I mean, we talked about predictability and like they were predictable last year, but when they were predictable, they were still able to beat the guys up and move the ball down the line. I mean,
how many times did they just run the ball and you knew they were going to run the ball?
They asked Sala about. I mean, go back to the Rams playoff game last year. Barkley had 2 70-yard touchdowns the first game. You're not going to give the ball to Barkley. First half, Barkley gets a long touchdown. Second half, when it's snowing, Hurts has got one leg. Barkley's getting the ball and he busts a 75-yard touchdown. Like they just couldn't stop it.
He broke a 70-yard run in the first play of
the championship game against the Commanders. But Salah said that's wherever the play they ran, the last play of the game. He's like, yeah, I saw them. We prepared for that. They were run that play on tape 2 years ago. So if you know what's coming, and now you're not healthy to. It's a bad example, but if you see what's coming and now somebody's half a step slower, somebody's not playing that well, just flat out missing blocks, you're dead in the water.
I won't say that last play was garbage. That was a garbage play. Everybody went deep. I didn't even understand the play. But regardless, there was plays to be made. Rocky Smith drop didn't even. The pass was terrible.
I'll tell you another thing. Even in 20 right? 22, they go to the Super Bowl. 23, they drop off. But then they had an easier schedule because they didn't win the division in 23. So 24, they didn't win the division now this year. They're going to get another first place schedule next year. So that's not going to be any relief. I don't know. I mean, you're going to have a bad quarterback again because they're not going to back off of him. We just mentioned offensive line. Is Lane Johnson even going to come back?
May
Is he
not.
gonna retire? Right.
A big problem is too the guy that they use to stretch the field, the AJ Brown, and you watch.
And he's gone. He's going to be gone.
No, but also, he's not as good as he was. He
He's
was
not, but I
clearly-
think a
He's
lot
not.
of is he's frustrated with the 5 passing concepts. He's
yeah, but
frustrated
he's
with
slower.
quarterback.
He didn't have that explosive speed that he
And
had.
maybe he dropped off a little, but I think he's frustrated too. Like I think if he goes somewhere else, he'll have like a little bit of like a pep to his.
Yeah,
Like maybe
I
trade-
agree.
So
All right. Well, I actually had some notes around where like to talk about offense quarter, but we touched on that. I mean, we don't really have to get too much more than that. We touched on Hurts. Anything else before we move on? Start talking a little bit about these divisional games.
Also, the Elliott missing the extra point saved Shanahan getting, I think, his second win when trailing by 7 entering the fourth quarter because it was only a 6-point lead. But
Yeah, he's another one they got. They need.
he's going. He's probably going.
there's a
Yeah,
good chance he's going, I think, yeah.
Yeah. They got a lot. They got issues next year.
and they got to pay. They got to pay a whole bunch of guys coming up. All right,
Yeah, they have
let's,
a good young defense, but yeah, we'll get into that obviously.
Yeah. All right, because we wanted to touch a little bit on the Phillies at the end. So let's get into these divisional games, and Chalky, you probably need to, you might have to help me out as I get through them because I don't know if I remember leaving last week's game. We're not recapping. We don't have to recap.
You don't
you
have
want
to
to recap?
we touch on stuff. But
Yeah, so I'm just going to go in the order I have them written. So first game, Buffalo is at Denver. Denver's a 1.5-point favorite. Over-under is looking at 45.5. So Buffalo beat Jacksonville. I mean, that was the Allen single-handedly kind of beat Jacksonville.
I was
it
going to
seemed
say
like.
it was a good game, but every game was a good game. Really.
Yeah, they
Except-
were.
Except the last game, but yeah.
Well, even that was a
Allen
1-point game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Because of one player. Trailed.
Oh, was it that close in the? I didn't watch. it. I
Yeah,
didn't.
Yeah, it was like
I didn't realize-
10-7 or
Yeah.
7-6 or
He
something.
I
did
didn't
all
realize
he
it was
could
into
to
the
keep
fourth
Pittsburgh
quarter.
in the game, Trailed.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. But Buffalo, like Allen was kind of. He looked like he might have went into concussion testing. Then he hurt his foot. I mean, he was all bagged up, but he single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, the offensive line picked him up on the one play and brought him for 10 yards. Somehow that's legal.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
But yeah, Buffalo was able to get by. Now they're playing Denver, who is rested. Jason, any thoughts here?
I think this is a toss-up game. I mean, I'm not a big Denver fan. I think Denver's a fraud. I mentioned it last week. I don't think Buffalo's that good. I just think Allen is that good. Denver's got the coaching advantage. I would take Peyton all day over McDermott. Defensively, Denver's got an unbelievable defense. They got the rest advantage. I mean, the only reason to pick Buffalo is Allen, and maybe it's just his year to at least go to the Super Bowl. I mean, if you force me to make a pick, I'm going to lean Buffalo, but I'm not the cop out. But if Denver wins, I'm not going to be surprised.
Yeah, I'm the opposite, but same thought. I think it's a complete toss-up game. The only reason Buffalo can win is Allen. Could be Allen Jeter, like you said. I'm sure the NFL would love to see Allen win this game. But you give Sean Payton the extra week. Allen's got to be coming in this game kind of banged up. The Buffalo's defense, like I could just see Denver running the hell out of the ball here too, and then using Knicks off of those play actions. And then the line too opened at Buffalo and then moved to Denver pretty quickly. So it tells me there was sharp money that came in on Denver, like sort of that first day or two. So I'm gonna do the coin flip, but I'm gonna go towards Denver's side, and I think they win a very close game, maybe a field goal at most. Chalky.
Yeah, I mean, I had this matchup when we were predicting the playoffs last week. I had Denver winning. I don't see any reason to change that coming out of last week. So, could it very easily be a field goal game, but Denver should win.
We should give Chalky credit because he did he did have the most wins, I think, last week, technically, like now that I look at it, because the only losses he had was Green Bay and the Eagles.
So Green Bay again.
Yeah, I think I win wise I was 3-3. I think I had 3 because who didn't somebody won but didn't cover. Who was that? Oh, the Rams.
The Rams.
The Rams. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I was the same, yeah.
Yeah. All right, San Fran, Seattle. Seattle's laying 7 right now, 44.5. Hot off the presses is Sam Darnold has some injury that popped up already. So I know Jason had a little bit on that, more maybe. But right now the line hasn't been affected by it. Chalky.
Yeah, Darnold says he's playing, but he's questionable, which is, to come out of the blue on a Thursday with 2 days before the game with an oblique injury. I still am not a Sam Darnold fan. He won a game that meant something when he beat the 49ers, but that was, what, a 13-3 game? It wasn't like a super impressive game. I'm going to take the Seahawks because I think the 49ers are just too banged up, and that Seahawks defense is really good. I think the 49ers cover the 7. I think the Seahawks win the game. So a 3 or 4 point win for the Seahawks. I wouldn't be surprised to see the 49ers win, certainly. I think the Seahawks win, but don't cover, though.
Jason.
Yeah, I picked Seattle to win the Super Bowl, and I was kind of all in on that. But I don't know. Like I just think it's hard to beat a team that you just played again, in such close proximity, like back to back. And the 49ers are slightly more healthy than them, a lot more healthy actually, because Trent Williams didn't play and Pearsall didn't play. They're both playing. I think they might have lost another defensive player, but
Kittle. Losing Kittle is
losing
huge.
Kittle hurt. But that time, I mean, listen, he's not Kittle, but Ton just when Shanahan has the time to scheme for Tonjes, he does well. He plays well. Yeah, Darnold's going to play, but you have an oblique injury. It might affect him. I mean, Drew Lock was taking first-team snaps today. That's not encouraging. So anything that's going to deter Darnold anymore, because he's seen ghosts before, and now this is a playoff.
I mean, Seattle. It's a different formula, but Seattle's got those 2 backs. If they can't run the ball, Darnold's passing success keys off of them being able to run the ball. So if they can run the ball, they'll limit him having to throw it. Same but different than the Eagles. If they can't run the ball, Seattle is going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers as an upset. I mean, I know the public's on them and the spread's big, but I think the 49ers might win this game.
Yeah, I'm just not a believer in the Niners. Watching them, like, I mean, Jason, you said you got to give solid credit. Dude, I give him no credit because there was plays on the field. The Eagles just didn't execute them. I don't think they didn't execute because the Niners, they had no pass rush. No pass rush.
They had no pass rush at all.
None. I mean, they let Barkley run for over 100 yards. That didn't even happen a lot this year. So this is another game where they do have to run the ball successfully, but I don't see why they're not going to run the ball successfully. The Darnold thing's a concern. I mean, I guess I'm going to lean towards, if I don't really see the line being affected by it, then I trust that there's intel that Darnold's going to be fine and play. And Tunga, like you said, he I think the games he's played, he scored in. He's like, but it's really on the run game, I think, where they lose Kittle a lot because Kittle is a phenomenal blocker. I mean, he's like a lead blocker sometimes where they move him in to take the place, and now I guess they'll use their fullback more. But and if Seattle can shut down the run game, which they did last week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, and force Purdy to beat them with limited weapons. Now maybe Pearsall comes back. But he had a couple turnovers in that game, and I can see it going the same way. And a couple turnovers against Seattle, I think, is going to be the death of him. So I have Seattle. And I'm going to stick with what I thought prior to Darnold. I'll have him covering the spread. All right, let's go Houston, New England. New England is a 3-point favorite, over under 40.5. I mean, New England was a team. They won what 16-3. I mean, their defense. I don't think their defense is anything special. That Chargers offense was bad. I know they're limited, but like there was more design runs for Herbert than there need. Like they're at the goal line. He's running like bootlegs to the goal line. Like it looked like that Michigan offense that won the championship with JJ McCarthy 2 years ago. Like I don't understand that. That's how you use Herbert. I know the offensive line was bad, but still. So Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to briefly touch on that game, I mean, the Chargers, I mentioned before, they have zero weapons, but the main issue is that offensive line. I think they were down to like their third left tackle.
Yeah, and Walt mentioned what New England had a really low pass
and
rate
they
or
still
whatever,
were able to.
and they still were in. If
They had like a
still back
75
there on every play.
They had like a 75% rush pressure.
Yeah.
That like and people want to kill Herbert, and I don't think he played well. I listened to Cosell, and Cosell said he really didn't play well. Like he had guys open, and he just didn't let the ball go. Like so, he was a problem. But when you're under siege like that the whole game, I mean
It
that's
was,
like,
and the whole year, not just the whole
and the
game,
whole
the
year,
whole
and
year.
he's beat up and he's hurt. I still give that guy like a little bit of a pass. But New England did it. I mean, they did it with their defense. Like I think May had a turnover, if I remember.
Fumble. I think he had a fumble, right?
Yeah. So May's still a young kid. I don't know. The Houston defense, like, let's talk about that game because we touched on briefly how bad Stroud was. He had 5 fumbles and 2 interceptions. I mean, I don't think he could possibly play that bad again. Could he? Like, is it possible for him to play that bad again? Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
but
you're not going to win by 23 points.
yeah,
New England.
that's how good
or
like
whatever.
the defense is and all. Like they still destroyed Pittsburgh. Like
Well, defense scored more points than the offense. I
Yeah.
think.
the defense
Yeah.
is they did. And I said this months ago. You could go back and listen. I think they're a Super Bowl defense. I really do. So I'm going to pick Houston to win this game. It's probably another low-scoring game. It's going to be snowing. It's going to be cold. It's it's going to be a defensive battle. You just got to hope. You have to hope that Stroud doesn't, just doesn't have another game like that. I don't know how he could. And if he does, guess what? They got to get him out. I mean, how could you fumble 5 times? Like
Some of them too were like,
he's
and
not
then
paying
actually,
attention when
he wasn't the only one, but like, I don't get these quarterbacks where like they're under pressure, the guy takes a swat at them, and they like step up in the pocket, and then they just figure that guy's done with. He'll never come back.
Yeah,
and then that's the same guy who then causes the fumble. Like the guy don't give up on the play. He's right there. Like once you're under pressure, you got to get out of the pocket. That's when you
Yeah.
leave the pocket.
yeah.
It's odd. But I'll tell you what, man, that Houston defense, I don't think that Houston defense has a solo tackle in that
They
game.
swarm. Yeah, they swarm.
I've never seen it. I mean, there were 6 guys tackling every time the ball. There were 6 guys tackling them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fast and they swarm. They got
Now,
playmakers to rush. They got the Stingley to defend. I like their defense.
The
a
one
lot.
issue on offense is Collins probably isn't going to play, so that's going to be big.
Yeah, they don't
Nico
have
Collins.
many weapons. I mean,
Yeah.
Christian Kirk led the league in yards for the
Yeah.
week of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That ain't
Yeah.
something you really want. But I'll take Houston to win the game outright as well. Chalky.
Yeah, I mean, Jason was talking about Herbert's lack of weapons. He doesn't have all pros, but he had 3 guys with 700 yards plus. McConkey had 1,200 last year. Houston doesn't have anybody that good right now with Collins out. Stroud probably can't play that bad again, but it might be enough. This is the first game I'm going to flip on what I said last week. I'll take New England to win a close, low-scoring game. Even though I love that Houston defense, I
just think if it's going to be low scoring game, that's Houston, right? Like,
I mean,
what defense would you rather have?
I agree, but I think New England's defense is getting Gonzalez back. They're not terrible, and obviously they won a low-scoring, nasty game last week, so I don't know. I think they can do it again, but I would rather see Houston win, but I'm going to flip it and say New England.
All right, and then the last game, Rams at Chicago. Rams are a 3.5 point favorite right now. 48.5. We touched a little bit on the Chicago game, or that might have even been off air. I don't remember. But Rams, I mean, honestly, the Rams should have lost that game. Like, they had no business winning it. Carolina decided to go into the worst shell defense I've ever seen, that they didn't play the entire game and just let the Rams walk right down the field, and then obviously they weren't good enough. And Chicago kind of had a miracle comeback. I mean, Green Bay is nothing special, but it took some pretty special plays from Williams to get to win that game. But that's where we're at. Chalky?
I mean, I'm going to fade Chicago till they win the Super Bowl. And, you know, Carolina was just one of those teams that gave the Rams fits twice, and sometimes it's matchups. I think the Rams got that game out of their system, and I think they should win by at least a touchdown.
Jason?
Yeah, along the lines of Chalky here. I think, you know, the Bears are winning these games that they shouldn't win. I mean, they should not have won that game last week. I mean, Matt LaFleur just went in a shell in the second half. Like, you know, I don't know how he still has a job after losing that game. But, you know, I think a lot's going to be said about the weather and Stafford outdoors and all this stuff. And I mean, how many games has Caleb Williams played in this weather? Like, you know, so he's from Southern California and all that. So I don't know. I think the Rams are just a better team. I don't believe in the Bears. I still don't believe in the Bears. I'm sorry, I just don't. And I think Chalky might be right that Carolina might just be a bad matchup for them. And I'm going to pick the Rams to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears here. I'm starting to be a believer in the Bears. Starting to not like Ben Johnson. I was a big Ben Johnson fan. He's kind of a dick, and he
should get slapped for sure.
Yeah, karma's going to come and get him, which I'm not thrilled with. But I mean, you look at the Rams. Their last 6 games, they're 3 and not counting last week. Their last 6 regular season games, they're 3-3, and 2 of their 3 wins came against Arizona. So they ain't an NFL team. Like, they're not playing their best football, and then didn't look good in the playoffs. And some of their problems is the problems they've had where McVay's not that good of a decision maker when it comes to 4th down. Like, he makes a lot of questionable calls, and it almost cost him him not taking a field goal when he definitely should have taken the field goal. So I don't know. All this Rams hype, like, if you really stop and take a step back, they're not playing their best football like they were earlier in the season. So I'm going to ride Chicago. And I think the cold is going to affect Stafford a little bit. And he got banged up too. I mean, he definitely hurt his finger on his throwing hand. Like, you don't know how that's going to affect him. Bears are going to be able to run the ball, I think. So I will go with the Bears to win this game outright.
I did hear from the great Jimmy D, and he said it's going to be a dog weekend. So,
yeah, I mean, I got it. Well, I got 2. I'm 2-2. I got 2 dogs, 2 favorites. You guys are.
I got 3 dogs, and then
3. Yeah, and Chalky, you were 2-2, maybe. Yeah, it looks like 2-2.
I was spread wise. I'm 3-1 with the favorites.
All right. Then you.
I picked all chalk to win, but I said San Francisco covers against Seattle.
Oh, okay. So wow, Seattle. All right, yeah. I mean, hopefully this week usually is the better week of the wild card, and the divisionals games are generally better than wild card games. So if we can get similar to what we got in the wild card games, we should have a good weekend of football. So at least we have that, and we thought that with the way the teams are so closely matched. So it's starting to shape up that way. All right,
and then you got the national championship game on Monday.
What's that?
You got the national championship game on Monday, which I know everybody's.
Dude, the fact that college football is still not over is insane.
The college football playoffs are longer than the NFL playoffs.
It's like, come on, man, they gotta change this format a little bit. Like, it's outrageous.
Oh, they're gonna add more teams, but I don't know if it's gonna.
They just got started earlier. So
well, I think they're gonna start at the same time because the buys are gonna be condensed. But yeah,
it's like out of control. All right, so before we sign off for this episode of Broad Street Hustle, let's touch a little bit on the Phillies quickly. Nothing crazy. So a little little Phillies news. Boston drank too much and gave Ranger an insane deal for some reason. Phillies are in the Bichette hunt, which I actually think they're going to do. They signed whatever you want to call it. Don Mattingly joined as the bench coach since last time we talked about him. Schwarber re-signed. I don't even know if we even talked about that.
I think we did.
We talked about. I don't know if we ended up talking about when he actually did resign.
Yeah, no, we covered
Schwarber
it because Jason nailed the numbers almost exactly, and we did cover that a little bit. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I can't really think. I'm sure there's more. But Jason, what did you want to touch on the Phillies real quick?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I think at this point, Bichette is going to be a Philly for sure. Now, there's a couple of things we need to talk about, right? Because for certain people, you hear some of the big, your John Heymans and your Rosenthals and all those guys are saying it's either Bichette or JT, right? So I went in and kind of looked at the salary situation for the Phillies right now, because the big thing is they want to try to avoid that 110% tax. So the way it works is I think the base right now is $244 million, and once you're over and above that, then you start falling into different, different not phases, but different, I guess, sections where plateaus where if you hit this, then it's another percentage that you have to pay and all. So 244, obviously they're going way over that. They have gone on, but because they have gone over for so long, now the new number that they need to avoid is this $304 million, because that's where you move into the 110% tax. Well, if things stood as they are right now, they're already at $312 million. So they're not avoiding that, right? So now what I think is reasonable to sign Bichette is he's probably going to get around $200 million, right? So if you lengthen the years on him, so maybe you give him 7 years at $210 million, right? And it's $30 million a year. Maybe you get away with giving him 8 years for that, and you have less per year. But he's probably going to get around $30 million a year. So JT's being very unreasonable right now. Like from what I heard, they've offered him a 3-year deal.
Really?
They've offered him 3 years. Now we don't know what they offered him.
For the 3. Because wasn't it like 2 at 30 was the first
right? So maybe they're offering him 3 at 40 or something like that. Like you don't know. We don't know what they're offering him, but for whatever reason, he's being unreasonable. So now, say you could get him down to, somehow you get him down to $12 million a year, right? So that would be $40 million tacked on. Now you're going to trade Bone, right? Because Bichette, we could get into where he's going to play. He's either going to play third or second. You're either going to put Stott at third and Bichette at second, or keep Stott there. Bone's gone one way or the other. Once they sign Bichette, Bone's getting traded. That's $10 million you're saving with Bone. Now, I think the next step would be to trade Sosa, because he's $4 million. You don't need Sosa if you have Kemp, right? You don't need Sosa anymore. What do you need him for? You have multiple shortstops now. You could play obviously Turner's a shortstop. You could put Bichette at shortstop when Turner's not playing, right? You don't need Sosa anymore. You have Kemp. Kemp could be your right-handed utility guy. So now that's saving $14 million. Now, what I think they need to do is, I think you need to, obviously they're going to trade or cut Castellanos. I think you need to give away a decent prospect with Castellanos and hope that somebody basically will pay him $5 million. And then that saves you another $5 million. Then, yeah, you're going to be over, and you're going to get crushed for being over by 20, 25 million, whatever you're going to be over. But it's only for 1 year, because next year Castellanos is gone and Taijuan Walker's gone. So, and then you also have, the whole new bargaining agreement that's coming. You don't know what's going to happen with that. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to bite the bullet for 1 year. It's just JT's got to be reasonable here. And I think he will eventually.
Or also, they might just not sign JT. I mean, JT might not be a Philly.
He might not, but I think that would be bid. Like, I don't think that they could go into the season with Marshawn and go get like some kind of other.
Yeah, they would get a veteran. I think they would get
They would get a
defensive
veteran,
back.
but I just think that's too big of a. I think you're going to have like Zach Wheeler's going to be. You're going to have pitchers who love JT who are now. I just think that's too big of a hit to lose JT, and JT knows it. That's why he's kind of being unreasonable. But I think they're going to bite the bullet for 1 year, and then next year they get relieved with a lot of salary coming off.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of why Bichette probably hasn't signed is all these moving pieces. That
And I
they're
agree. Like,
Yeah.
because once you sign Bichette, now everybody knows you got to trade Bohm.
Yeah, it's right.
So maybe
And
in the background they're like, listen, you're getting signed. Let us work on Bohm here, and then we'll announce everything in one day. We'll announce we signed you and we traded Bohm.
that's what I think.
Yeah.
Chalky, anything before we wrap up around that?
No, I mean, if Bohm's got to go, and obviously it's easier to do it first. I mean, if you're calling on Bohm, people might know you're signing Bichette, but I think it was Jim Bowden said that, like, there's nobody out there telling him that they want to sign Real Muto.
Yeah.
So I would not let whatever Bichette's contract is going to be. I mean, you sign Bichette for whatever, and then I don't know what that leaves for JT, but at this point in his career, he's never won a championship. He's won Golden Glove. If it's going to be $2 or $3 million a year over 2 or 3 years, is he going to? He's made $100 million or whatever. Like, you're going to trade that for a chance to win a championship just to make a couple extra bucks, in Arizona or wherever they, will go to sign him? Like, no. Like, that'd be foolish on his part to say, we just made this team better, or it can be even better if I re-sign for $2 million less. He's got guys he likes here. Why you would not do that, I don't know. But, if Bohm obviously moves, and if you move Sosa, I don't know if that accelerates you getting Miller up to the big leagues or not in a super utility. I even saw somebody said just they ought to throw Miller out in left field in AAA and see if he's got anything there, because then you could be a right-handed bat in left field. I don't know, but if he can play the whole infield, maybe he can play field. I don't know, but I mean, there's no other teams that are really being talked about with Bichette like that. I mean, they said Boston because they lost out on Bregman, and then the reason they gave that money to Suarez was they made a stupid offer to Bregman, got beat out, and then they just gave Ranger whatever. So, like, there's no other team that's, Tucker's got to sign somewhere. He might be going to New York, unfortunately, New York or Toronto. So, I mean, it seems like Bichette's lining up for the Phillies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I thought as soon as it started circulating and Mattingly, the connection he had.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing. Like, when those kind of big names get linked to the Phillies, like, there's smoke there. So they have heavy interest, and Bichette has to too. It doesn't mean that they'll sign, but if you look where they've missed out, like some of the Japanese guys, it wasn't money, it was other stuff. Like, they're in on him for real, and they're going to be trying hard.
You just got to figure with Middleton, like, he wants to win, and it's only 1 year.
Yeah, it's the 1 year. It's the 1 year. It's the right. Yeah. You take that hit this year, and then you get those other money off the books, and you go from there.
And Dombrowski, I mean, we've been saying it for since he's got here, like like trade deadline, that Dombrowski wants that splash. He wants it, it doesn't really happen yet. So, I think. I think this is it. Yeah, I think, and also, I mean, I know they just signed Schwarber, so you have him locked up. But like, the window is closing. Let's be honest. I mean, the players are getting older. Harper, you don't know how with all the stuff with him. So yeah, you're getting to that, like, another year or two, do or die. So
I mean, Bichette's still what, 20?
Targeting, I think that's
27.
Bichette's 27. If you get lucky and Miller is as good at advertised and Crawford is half decent, now you got 3 young guys that are like infusing in that lineup. And, like Jason said, the years is going to be the thing that gets Bichette, because I think I read something, they wanted to give, they offered Harper 17 years or some crazy number, and then ended up being 13, but they'll go on years. That's what they'll use to get the money that Bichette wants. So, just kick the can down the road and let's win.
And you can't backload stuff, because I think it's AAV. It doesn't matter. Like, it's basically
I mean, I don't know how much the deferred money plays into that too. But yeah, it's so, like, the Dodgers get dinged for the luxury tax, but they're not paying that money out, so they still save it in that sense.
True.
So you can do it, but yeah, it's not like you could give a $2 million contract this year and a $50 million contract at the end and have it be $50 million. Like that's the thing too. What Tommy said, the collective bargaining agreement, like who knows what it's going to look like after this. So like,
I think that's part of it.
go out and win, and then you worry about the rest of it after that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, more to come on the Phillies. Nice to touch on them since we have it, and obviously with football dwindling down, we're gonna ramp it up a little bit. But so good to talk about. That's it, fellas. Episode 190 of Broad Street Hustle. We will be back next week, of course. We may take a hiatus between the Super Bowl, the bye week of the Super Bowl. We haven't decided, depending on maybe what happens. But next week we will most certainly be back for a episode to preview the championship games and recap the divisional round. Episode 190, Broad Street Hustle.